Hey everyone, and welcome to another Game Explained discussion. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined today by Tris Valbana to give our predictions on tomorrow's Pokémon Presentation. So, let's get started. And yeah, out of nowhere, Pokemon's ready to talk more about the expansion pass for Pokemon Sword and Shield, and we have a brand new presentation happening tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern and 6 a.m. Pacific, where presumably we're just getting more info on Crown Tundra. So what are you expecting just overall, Tris?
The fact that they really just have kept it vague of just, hey, yeah, we're having the announcement for it. I've already seen people expecting like Pokemon Direct levels of information. I feel like this will be maybe like a 3-minute trailer, like a small overview of the Crown Tundra, because I'm pretty sure we got that for the Isle of Armor before it actually dropped.
I think so.
I think it'll be an info dump on what it is, but it's not going to be anything like too expansive outside of like 3 minutes and maybe everything they showed in like what was originally just a bunch of concept art actually in game.
Yeah, I think this is probably going to be 5, maybe 10 minutes long, covering a frozen tundra. Like, all right, here's the legendaries you can fight. Here's how this. They've talked before about how you can go through these, I guess, dungeons almost to take on the legendaries and just do that sort of thing. I'm sure they'll go over that. Probably a little bit about the story of Crown Tundra. Just, kind of that big overall thing that we got for Isle of Armor and just how it's accessed and go from there. I agree with you. There's really not going to be anything else beyond Crown Tundra, unless they're like, big shock of shocks. If I had to guess, maybe November we'll get, or December, we'll get here is Pokemon Sword and Shield being sold in box with both DLCs for $80 or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say I have a feeling this will release in November, and then they'll also announce if you haven't bought the DLC or even Pokemon yet, you can get all of it together the same release day.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I don't know about the actual release date, like whether it's going to be October, November, where that'll be, but I do think we're going to be getting the release date as part of this presentation.
Yeah. I think it'd be really weird if we didn't at this point. I mean, we're in the time frame it's supposed to be coming out, and I doubt they'll want to do another info dump on it before it would release, so.
Yeah, that's something you just like stick out a launch trailer for and okay, hey, it's out, go get it type thing. Yeah, that seems like the best idea, and I think that'll probably be the major bit of news. The big thing here with Crown Tundra, as far as I can tell, is here's a brief overview of the land, here's the story once again, here's like apparently the story also involves the Galarian forms of the three legendary birds, so
yeah,
probably a bit more in there.
So there's the 2 new Reggie Pokemon, including all of the previous Reggie Pokemon, and then the one that looks like the deer, I think it's Calyrex.
Yes.
And then the Kanto bird trio, which I think they are Galarian forms of them.
I believe so, yes.
So that's actually a pretty solid amount right there. We do know that they also teased the Galarian Slowking. We'll probably actually see that. And then I would be surprised if there were more Galarian forms on top of that, to be honest.
Yeah, I think basically we've seen everything they have to offer at this point as far as Galarian forms. I don't think there's going to be any more new Pokemon to look at. And because already that's a pretty sizable amount. That's essentially 3 brand new Pokemon and 4 or 5 new forms potentially.
Yep. So, and that's not even counting however many they end up fully bringing back between all the different kinds of legendaries and mythicals and whatnot from past games that are going to be accessible through these basically larger dens. And I assume they're adding some normal non-legendaries as well, but who knows how many. Yeah,
I think we got an estimate of around 100 new Pokemon per, I guess, DLC. And I don't know if that includes the legendaries, because they showed off pretty much like, hey, you remember the legendaries from this generation, this gen? Oh yeah, they'll be able to be caught in these dens. And then, of course, the mythicals will probably come along at some point as well, as far as like bonuses that like they typically do.
Yeah.
So I think content-wise, if you want to complete your decks and get those Pokemon again, I think there's going to be a lot of content here. Isle of Armor was honestly pretty solid in my opinion. It really expanded upon the idea of what the wild areas could be and what the potential of Pokemon is in a full 3D environment. And these do feel like experimentations to iterate on that idea. Of course, we didn't have a lot to see as far as places, and I doubt Crown Tundra is going to have that many like cities or stuff like that. It's probably going to be a few buildings like Isle of Armor had.
Yeah, I definitely think in terms of like structure and layout, it's definitely going to be similar to Isle of Armor, but I think Isle of Armor was, I want to say, almost tutorial heavy in terms of like, this is what we can really do with this. You know, they put it under the form of like trials, like go in the forest and get mushrooms or something like that. But I think Crown Tundra might have things like that, but I think it'll be a little more emphasizing on the actual exploration of it rather than kind of guiding you through it.
Yeah, I think so. It's one of those things where now you've got your introduction. And granted, it's totally possible somebody decided to just get Crown Tundra. Kind of doubt it. It's, you know, they could maybe go a little bit further with it, and that seems likely considering they're involving legendaries in this. I don't know the full thing. Well, you know, obviously you're teaming up with some guy when you're there, and don't fully know what his
I think they said you're leading an exploration team or something like that.
Yeah,
which
okay.
I'm not quite sure how they plan to go about that, or even who would be part of that team beyond him and your player character. Since they talked extensively originally about the co-op, it would be really interesting if the whole thing could be done in co-op, but I strongly doubt that.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think the den is probably going to be the only time that really happens, and story-wise, maybe you're part of an expedition to explore all this, and it's just explained away because, you know, the legendaries are fighting again. That's about how it goes. And yeah, I don't think we're going to get too crazy of a story. We might be wrong. You know, legendaries get involved. It can always get interesting. And, you know, Isle of Armor kept things pretty simple story-wise, but they had fun characters. And I think that's the thing that I'm noticing with this one. Beyond, like, the expedition leader, I don't know if we've been introduced to any other characters, and that's another opportunity for this presentation to show us more of.
Yeah, that's something I'm really hoping for, too. Like, they don't necessarily have to be new rivals in the form of, like Clara was, for example, but I really hope that we see, like, at least two other new characters that are kind of prominently there. I think it would be a little disappointing if we arrive in the Crown Tundra and then everyone turns around and it's like, oh, it's Hop and Leon and one other random gym leader are also all part of this expedition team for some reason.
Yeah, that'd be a bit of a bummer. And isn't this expansion pass also expand the... it expands the tournaments, right? If I remember correctly. So. It's been a while since they've shown this stuff off, so I'm not completely familiar, but I believe there's like an expansion to the tournaments, like we have co-op tournaments, like you choose a partner and go through and have these rematches. Like, it seemed like it was a opportunity to really build things up. Like, that was something Isle of Armor did too. They've found ways to make it much easier, like to get Gigantamax forms, for example.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they'll actually use this to build upon the base game as well in that way, and not just make this whole solo isolated thing. I do hope that the idea that they added with Isle of Armor with the follower Pokemon, which we haven't had in many years now, I do hope that stays for the Crown Tundra. I
think it should. I think they pulled it off in the first one. I don't see why they wouldn't have it there again, unless something graphically is just too crazy for it, but I can't imagine. It's just
too much snow.
Yeah. Exactly. It's... There's definitely ways to make that work and keep that fun little aspect.
Well, here's an off-the-wall, scary potential prediction. Do we think they might just shadow drop it this week?
No, I don't think they're ready to shadow drop it. That's not a Pokemon thing to do. No, they like to build up to it. That doesn't feel very Pokemon.
Well, how long between the final detailed trailer for Isle of Armor and their release for it was there?
I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks, so we might get this in October if it follows that suit. I'm not sure. Okay. I guess another question is, do you think they'll have a quest like finding all the Alolan Diglett?
Oh, that's a good question. They might kind of, I don't want to say pad it out with that, but I mean, they definitely might do something like that. I doubt it'd be Alolan Digletts, but I'm curious what it would be, because it would have to be something that's small and not as easy to find.
You know what might not be a bad idea? It's all, I guess it's completely up to them whether they want to keep it exclusive to Pokemon Go. This might be a good idea to have Melmetal in the game.
Ooh, that is
find
true.
all the Melmetals and then it forms, what is it, Mel something?
Isn't it Meltan and then the Melmetal?
Meltan and then Melmetal. Yeah. I mixed them up. But yeah, find all the Meltan, get the Melmetal. I never bothered to collect the get all of them. I got my one and I was happy. Could do that, or I guess they could do the Zygarde cells again if they wanted to really torture us like they did in Sun and Moon.
That's true though, because with how much of an emphasis this has on past legendary Pokemon, they really might have some sort of collectathon for the Zygarde or some other classic legendaries. Even if it's it might just be find all the legendary exclusive items throughout the past games. They're scattered around, you have to find them, bring them to the right person, and then you'll get the Pokemon or something.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Or they'll teach you how to use it for the Pokemon.
Because previously the Digletts were used to get a bunch of Alolan forms and other Pokemon from other gens in that way. So it feels like if they have that collectathon element again, we have to be getting something. And Zygarde cells make sense to me because you get this many Zygarde cells, and hey, you get this dog form, and then you get the all the other forms that you build up to.
Yeah, that is true. I do wonder how that would be, since that's pretty much all tied to one Pokemon as opposed to getting a bunch of the forms of others. Did we... I'm drawing a blank. Did we get all the Alolan forms back in Sword and Shield now?
I'm not positive, but I think overall, yes. I want to say we got... If we haven't, we're really close,
Yeah. If for some reason we haven't, they'll probably finish that out here. But
yeah, I think so, but... Yeah, this would be a perfect... I don't know if I think we probably got an Alolan Vulpix, but if we didn't, Crown Tundra is a perfect place to get an Alolan Vulpix.
Right. It better spawn naturally there.
Yeah, it wouldn't be that surprising. Here's just an out of left field question. Do you think we'll actually get it or not? Is it possible, because since Gen 2, the idea... there's been a pattern for every other gen... every even number gen to get a new Eevee form. Do you think we'll actually get a new Eevee form, or are they breaking tradition this time around? Because we didn't get in the main game, and that felt like a disappointment.
That is actually a really interesting question, because the only real other new forms they teased, as mentioned earlier, was the fact that the Galarian Slowpoke would get a Galarian Slowking, but they didn't show any others, and I think if we got a new Eevee form, that would actually be really nice. And with how prominent Dragon form feels in this gen, it would be a missed opportunity to not get a Dragon form of Eevee.
Dragon form makes the most sense to me, because the way you keep track of what the special the physical attack physical special split was in the old games was all the Eevees plus Dragon.
Yep.
So put in the Dragon, and just if an Eevee is that type, that's all your specials.
Yeah, really.
So come on, let's have a Dragon Eevee. It's time. I think that'd be a really cool surprise to end on, especially with just how freaking popular Eevee is. Didn't Eevee show up in the anime recently too? And they always seem to evolve that into something unique or do something different with it. It showed up in X and Y, and of course we got Sylveon.
And Sylveon blew up to become one of the most popular Eevee forms too. So they could definitely do that. And that would be more than enticing for most players to get, or for a lot of Pokemon players to get this DLC, if not only for this Eevee.
Yeah, exactly. So, don't know if it'll actually happen, but I think there might be a good possibility.
Well, now I really want it to happen.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Well, any other predictions on what they might show in this presentation?
I think we'll find that the kind of like what they did with Isle of Armor, where they announced like special events for certain like dens with Pokemon, where they're like, I want to say timed exclusives, but that's not really accurate. They're only available for a certain amount of time before, eventually becoming available again later. Mm-hmm. They'll probably announce that and probably some more Gigantamax forms.
Yeah.
For some returning Pokemon, probably.
That makes sense. I think that's a possibility.
But I don't know if there would be anything crazy outside of... I mean, they might be kind of like how in Isle of Armor. So Leon already gave us the Charmander. And then in Isle of Armor you can get the Squirtle or Bulbasaur. Mm-hmm. They'll probably get the starters of a different gen. I'm not sure which one. But.
Yeah, I think we got the Gen 6 starters as part of the Diglett quest as well. So, based on which one you picked initially, so there's ways through.
Right. That. Yeah, we might get more like that though, because for some reason they really like tossing in the fact that you can get some of the past gen starters. Mm-hmm. It's nice, but sometimes it feels a little out of left field when they do it.
Yeah, and you always make sure you can only get one.
Yep. They make you relive that choice.
Of course. But, alright, well, I think that about covers it for our Pokemon Sword and Shield Expansion Pass predictions discussion. So, thank you for watching, and if you like this video, be sure to like us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain, and of course be sure to subscribe to GameXplain for more on Pokemon and other things gaming as well. Until next time, bye.